I'm calling the meeting to order for the Marin Municipal Water District for August 18th, 2020. We have amended the agenda to postpone item number 6, the biodiversity management plan, I think, Ben, until the Watershed Committee on September 17th.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Yes, Jack.
Okay. Okay, with that amendment, can I get an adoption of the agenda? Motion. I got a motion. Second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call.
You have to do a roll call, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, who made the first? Was it Director Bregman?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. Director Bregman,
Aye.
Director, pardon me, Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Director Russell,
You're muted, Larry.
You're right. Thank you. Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any public expression items not on the agenda that people have posted comments for?
We did receive, the board did receive one comment on a non-action item, and it was forwarded to you, and it will be posted on the website.
Okay. Thank you. General managers and directors announcements. Ben, I think we'll start with you. Do you have any announcements?
I do have a couple brief announcements I wanted to share with the board and the public. With these rolling power outages, we at the district have tried to do our part. We've switched over our source of water supply to Kent Lake that reduces pumping requirements. We've increased production from one of our treatment plants, Bontempi, that also reduces pumping requirements. And we filled all of our tanks prior to 3 p.m. to also reduce pumping requirements. You know, I was talking to staff, and this issue coupled with the PSPS events reinforces to us what we all know, that we can't let our water system fall, in the direction of the power utility. And with this demand issue, our aggressive and continued water conservation efforts are so very important. And with the PSPS events that we talked about, the infrastructure planning and appropriate investments are so important. In fact, we'll be touching on that. Really an important milestone later on the agenda with our water supply master plan that we're bringing forward tonight. The other item I wanted to share with you, we received an acknowledgement from Aqua, our statewide association, that we almost won. One of the most prestigious awards in the state, and we were runner-up for the Claire Hill Award. I don't think you can see it that good, but it'll be, we're very proud. I was telling staff that, winning a silver medal in the Olympics is cause for celebration. And this is really recognizing the work done in the BIFA, meeting criteria of commitment to excellence, showing creativity and innovation, environmental beneficial projects, quantifiable results, and fiscally responsible. And this is quite coveted, so I wanted to share that with the board.
Congratulations. Who beat us?
I think it was Placer County, is that right?
Right, Placer County got it for also forestry work. Also around 22,000 acres, just like us. Their work is on federal lands up in the Sierra foothills.
Yeah, by Hangtown.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Well, congratulations. I agree with Ben. I think there's no shame to be winning the silver. So congratulations to everybody. It's well
absolutely. Yeah.
Ben, could I, or Jack, could I ask just a quick question?
Sure.
Ben, did we use the generator on Sunday, or did the power go out at San Geronimo? It went out in Fairfax for...
Paul, do you know the status of that?
The treatment plant did not use the generator. It remained in power.
You kept your power, huh?
Yeah, it kept power. It was Tokoloma Pump Station that took a hit.
Yeah, we lost power in half of Fairfax, and then the other block remained continuous. So it's kind of
Same
hard.
thing
to
in
tell.
Sleepy Hollow, exactly. You cross Butterfield, power was on my side it was off.
Yeah, it's very weird how that works. But
Mhm.
okay, thanks a lot, Paul.
Sure. All right, I guess director's announcements. Cynthia, do you have any announcements?
I do not, thanks.
Okay, Larry Bragman?
I'll pass. Thanks.
Sure. Larry Russell?
Only like to say that Ben was a little tough on our power brothers. You know, they don't get the ability to store water, to store power like we store water. So it's a little different situation on peaking demand. Pretty tricky in the power business. Just keep that in the back of the mind, you know.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Armando, any announcements?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Sure.
As you know, I'm not running for my seat again this fall.
Mhm.
And a few hours ago, the information came out which allowed me to tell you why that is. About 5 weeks ago, Governor Newsom appointed me as the new director of the California State Park System.
Hey,
Congratulations.
wow.
And I start in that role on September 1st. And so for the last 5 weeks, I've been closing down my university job, talking to Ben about how do we handle this, looking for a candidate that could compete effectively and bring skills to the district that I think this district really needs. And I feel very fortunate in having been able to find a fellow who lives in Bret Harte, which is within this district. His name is Monty Schmidt, and he worked for NRDC for years. I think Cynthia worked with him when he was there. He now works for the Nature Conservancy, has worked in Sacramento and throughout California on river restoration projects and watersheds. And he's worked with water utilities both out in the cities and counties of the state, as well as on restoration projects. And I think he brings precisely the knowledge and sort of background that the district needs. So I'm really thrilled that I was able to work with Monty and get him on board. I've sent introductory emails with him for many of you, and I'll send some additional ones. So having said what I just said, this is my last Municipal Water District Board meeting. And I apologize for being so, just sort of quiet about what was going on, but it wasn't my place to tell the world. And I will send the announcement to Jeannie along with, a few other things. And I really cannot tell you what an honor it has been to work with all of you, with previous managers and employees, and to see and understand the value of what a water district really means to a community. And also, I have really appreciated the staff and the leadership's efforts in creating the partnership, or the role in the partnership that is now One TAM. I'm now on the other side of that. And interestingly enough, the role that I'm in also ends up now moving to a place where a lot of the Prop 68 funds are actually managed by state parks. And so we'll continue to work together. And I'm very happy about that. And I'm still sort of speechless about it. It's been a lot of work. And on the one hand, I've been doing all the briefings and the readings for this new role. And on the other, trying to shut down my university role, which had all kinds of projects that I'm pretty much done organizing them and handing them off to other professors. But again, just to give you a sense of understanding, I couldn't ask people to take on big projects with no apparent explanation. So I've packaged everything, and the next few days are going to be, and I've sent notes out to my colleagues now, and I'm getting responses, and things are going to be a little on that end. It's going to be smoother, but my life is about to take off in ways that I've never imagined, and I'm looking forward to the extraordinary privilege of what that will be, as well as, really lifelong gratitude for my experience here at MMWD. Amazing.
Okay. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I just have to say a
Absolutely.
couple of quick things. I'm sure we're going to have some sort of actual fete and celebration for you at some point, but I do first just want to say congratulations. You're going to be amazing in the position. I don't think the governor could have picked anybody else, anybody better, I should say. Although I'm very, very sorry that you won't be with us every other week. You know, I've come to really rely on you and your wisdom and your perspective. So it'll be hard for us, but I have to say, given the timing and given the challenges Armando is facing, I'm enormously grateful for, you know, his resilience and his tenacity in making sure that there's somebody on the ballot that's really incredibly qualified. You know, as Armando said, I have known Monty for many years. He is not just a delightful, you know, wonderful person, but super smart, you know, really talented, knows the watershed space as well as anybody in the state. And I'm very excited about the prospect of his joining the board. So more to come, but Armando, I'm very sad it's your last meeting and we're going to miss you. But as you say, you can never really escape us.
Yeah, no, that's true. And in many ways, you've all been teachers, and teachers come from all over the spectrum, and you know, all these experiences are additive, and it's just sort of it's amazing looking at. You know, I've been studying the big challenges that are ahead, and there's a lot of them. And anyway, and I'm thrilled, and MMWD has been a critical part of the trajectory. So thanks.
Okay, well, I wouldn't even attempt to compete with that, so I have no comments either. We'll go to the consent calendar. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Director Bregman,
I also have a question. On the manager's report, Ben, do we have a line item for leaks or water main breaks?
You know, that I don't believe that's tracked in this report specifically. It is, we do track them though. It's actually something that would be nice to show a moving trend in this report. So we'll take that comment under
Thanks a lot.
advisement.
Yeah, just thought I'd put that out. Thank you.
Okay.
Aye.
thank you. Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye. That takes us to our monthly water supply report, and I think that's Paul.
Yes, thank you, Director Gibson. Paul Cellier, Operations Director. The GM has asked me tonight, in light of kind of our calendar tonight, to focus on just a couple slides. You know, note we are in our summer pattern. There's not much in the way of meaningful rain, and our storage is tracking as we would expect at this point, within about 5% of our total storage. And then the last slide really is regarding our taste and odor complaints, and I would just note that there were 5 complaints regarding taste and odor, and only one of these was maybe related to the lake water. So I know that's a very brief report, much briefer than maybe you're used to, and I'm happy to take questions at this point.
Yes, when you say related to the lake on the taste issue, do you mean algae specifically, or?
That's correct, Director Gibson.
Yeah, okay.
When was the switch to Kent made?
Oh, gosh, I think we switched to Kent on Friday evening. Because that
So
was that was our first power outage where we lost Tokoloma.
It's probably still moving through the system, huh? Because isn't this the time we usually get taste and odor complaints from Kent?
It is, but actually the water is doing really well right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for Paul? Comments?
Did you look at that? I sent Paul a article that I came across about that boat with the UV on the bottom.
Yeah, that was very, very interesting. And I have it on my to-do list to try to reach out to those folks and see how practical that is for us.
Yeah, it's a boat with ultraviolet lights mounted in an array about twice the size of the boat. And it actually kills algae. I think it's more for water plants like milfoil and those guys, but it's kind of an interesting concept.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Chemical-free killing of algae.
Yeah.
All right, that's an information item only, so we'll go on to item number 5, the amending our workplace sanitation services agreement. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have asked if there's any public comment on item number 4.
So just, I guess, one quick question, which is, I guess our little storm on Sunday didn't result in any appreciable increase in storage.
No, yeah, I kept looking in the gutter outside my living room window, hoping to see even a ribbon in there, and there really wasn't much. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think about all you could see is fire from the lightning.
Yeah.
President Gibson, we do not have any comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. Now we can go to number 5, amendment to our agreement on workplace sanitation services.
Hey, Jack, did you do public expression?
Yeah, we just did it.
No, I mean the other public expression.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, we did.
overall.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I have item number 5. Back in March, when Governor Newsom declared a public health emergency in the state of California, we began looking into services for sanitation in case we were to get a positive COVID or other services to assist us with sanitizing our work areas as needed. And so in April, we entered into a contract with a company called 360 Santa Clean. And this company provides services wherein twice a week they come out and essentially disinfect they wipe down surfaces, and they do an electrostatic spray of 100 ppm of chlorine on common areas and also vehicles at all of our administration and facilities. And they're also there for us when we need them as needed to do a higher concentration of chlorine spray, up to between 300 and 1,000 ppm is what's recommended if you have a positive COVID in the workplace. And so we've been using them since April, and we've worked our way up through a couple amendments extending the contract, as we didn't know how long the pandemic would last. And as you know, it's lasting for much longer than anyone anticipated. And so we've reached a limit for the general manager's signing authority. And so we're asking the board to authorize amendment number 3 to a miscellaneous agreement 5842 for sanitation services not to exceed $250,000. This will get us through, we anticipate based on our current expense on this contract, get us through another 6 months if needed.
Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
This is only for workplace restrooms and facilities, Crystal?
Ours.
Yeah.
Correct. We're using it for office space at our treatment plants where we have operations staff that do shifts. We also disinfect vehicles that are shared amongst crews. A dump truck might switch from one crew to another crew. And so we'll disinfect the interior of the vehicles as well.
Okay.
I mean, I hope this isn't too unrelated, but are we doing paying special attention to the public restrooms on the watershed? Because I know a couple of you have been going out there, and the watershed since COVID shelter in place has been in order has been extraordinarily crowded, and there are restrooms that I've opened up and not gone into. And so do we have a special schedule for those restrooms?
Well, we did increase our servicing interval for all of our porta potties on the watershed because of the increase in visitors use. So when they go in, they completely spray down the interior of those porta potties and they sanitize it. That's a separate contract though.
I mean, I'm not going to be there, but I would recommend that there be a report to the board relative to the schedules on that and sort of the conditions that you're finding, because I'm seeing stuff that's pretty extreme. And as you all know, that, you know, those are actually a prime area where this can be basically creating hotspots. And so anyway, I ask that in future board meetings that be discussed or presented. Thanks. But I'll move approval of what you just proposed.
Okay,
Any other comment?
I have a comment, Jack.
sure. Go, Larry.
I think it would be worth spending some money to find out if we actually have those viruses on surfaces. It appears to me that it's primarily an aerosol, and that the word I'm getting is people are backing down on the value of disinfecting. I mean, it can't hurt anything, that's for sure, but I think we should look at the efficacy of it to determine. I'm going to support where we're going. I don't have a problem with that, but I think we should look at the efficacy of what we're doing. You know, is it really doing anything? Because if it's not on the surface and you're cleaning the surface and you can't really get it from the surface, which is what I'm hearing in the news, at least. So I think we should look at that and just see, maybe these guys have an idea about that, some way of showing the efficacy of their cleaning. You know, kind of like you'd run coliform tests. If you disinfect, you run coliform tests, you don't get any coliforms. But I think it might be worth spending a few $1,000s on analytical to find out if the virus is present and if they're making a difference. Does it change after they come through? If it's there and then it's not there, that's great. But if it's not there and it's not there, then it's not so great.
Well, let me also add, we did apply and get approval to submit for FEMA reimbursement on COVID-related expenses. And this sanitation contract is included in our list of expenses that we've submitted to FEMA for reimbursement. So hopefully we'll get some of these funds back at some point.
Yeah,
And
That's
I have to
good.
say, Larry, I think I take maybe a little bit more of a cautious view. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I think there's a lot of different views in the news, and I feel that given the health and safety issues, I'd rather, you know, make sure, especially given that, you know, as Crystal says, you know, we're not bearing the full brunt ourselves. I would be much more comfortable taking those precautions and demonstrating to the staff that we have their best interests at heart. I mean, we're not in the business of, you know, establishing, you know, whether or not, how long COVID lasts and where it is. And I don't think we can go there. That's not really our mandate. I think our mandate is to keep our team safe. And there's just not enough known to make that kind of determination, I feel.
I think that exactly is the argument I'm talking about, Cynthia. That is exactly the reason to do some kind of testing. Right now, we're just in the dark. And why not do some surface wipes and find out if we're picking it up and if we're making a difference? I mean, you know, I don't like the idea of just being safe to be safe, you know? I mean, if you're shooting in the dark, you're probably not going to hit anything. And, you know, like I said, I'm in support of where we're going, but I think it'd be worth looking at a quantitative evaluation of the effectiveness.
well, it sounds
Because-
like that kind of testing would be valuable, not so much to not do this anymore, but to find out if there's anything more we can be doing.
Exactly, Jack. And to find out if you know, if what we're doing makes sense in the big picture. You know, are we really hitting the nail with the hammer?
Mhm.
I think staff got enough for us to take a look at it. I do appreciate all the comments and Director specific, all of them. But I wanted to note just on Director Kohler's comment that some of what we do is not just perception of staff, but a real demonstration of and beyond, since some folks do have to come in and,
Your audio is breaking up, Ben,
oh, no, not again. Shoot. Okay.
but it's,
Yeah.
You're
So-
Aquaman again, Ben.
Yeah. Okay, any other board comments on item number 5?
You know, I will just say that there is so much research going on right now and even beginning to understand the nature of COVID that I think we're at a point where it's really difficult to make a clear determination. And I will just say very quickly, my best friend's granddaughter, who's supposed to turn 2, in 2 weeks is in Kaiser ICU in Oakland right now. She's one of 500 infant toddlers who have tested positive for COVID. And she is literally in the hands of some of the best doctors in the nation right now. She's a critical data point for understanding what's happening with these children, and she has been near death several times in the last few days. And I am actually fairly emotional about watching what's happening to those folks who, who are getting so sick, and it's not understood at all. And so I really hope that all of us in the world of public bathrooms are taking a really hard look at how we do this best. It's a terrifying time.
Yeah.
Could I make one other comment?
Sure.
I don't know if when the seasons change, if we're going to have more staff inside headquarters too, which may be another consideration. And then the other thing I just wanted to bring up for your consideration, Ben, or just something to think about, is air ducts, because if it is respiratory, I would think that would be a, possible vector. Just something to think about. I mean, thankfully, we really haven't had, any real spread, but it's just something for you to think about.
Absolutely. On those 2 points, I did want to, hopefully you can hear me. Thanks for everyone that let me know. What we are not planning to anytime soon increase staff in the office. In fact, we're doing what I'm calling settling in to this new mode and working to accommodate folks working at home, even in an enhanced way than what we've been doing. On the air conditioning, that is something that's on our radar, and we are going to be looking at the sort of air filters we have. Can we put in enhanced, perhaps HEPA filters that are, of the size to remove this virus?
Good.
I would recommend, instead of going with filters, because I don't think you're going to have the horsepower in the fan to do that, I would look at the UV systems. There's UV systems to kill within the system. I think you'd end up with a much better, having a form of electrostatic precipitator there that actually kills with the UV than you will get out of a filter.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any public comment on item number 5?
President Gibson, I do not see any at this time. Let me just check one more location. And no, sir, we do not.
Okay, I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Actually, we had only Director Quintero with the first motion, but I needed a seconded.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
Aye. That would normally take us to item 6, but we have postponed item 6 to the September 17th Watershed Committee. And the reason for that is that it is a topic that deserves, given our agenda tonight and our closed sessions following this, we want to be sure that the biodiversity plan has more time than could be donated to it or justified today. So it's being postponed to the September 17th Watershed Committee. That takes us to item number 7, which is professional services agreement with Woodward and Curran.
Yes. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, board members. Lucy Croy, Senior Engineer at Planning. I'm going to share my screen. We have a brief presentation prepared for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to give an overview of the project, including major objectives, and then also recommending the excellent team, Woodard and Curran, that we were very excited to work with, including the project manager, Xavier Arias, and Allison Watson, principal in charge for that team. They are both in the audience and available for questions at the end if it comes up. On the screen right now, you see Smith Saddle. Those are two of our most critical storage tanks in the system. They're both 60 years old and each store about 5 million gallons. Over the next 3 years, we will be taking on a rehabilitation project, restoring both of those storage tanks. Let's see. Okay. So the district has a very rich history, and we're very proud to be the first public water district in California, formed in 1912, providing reliable and high quality water for over 108 years. Core to upholding that mission of reliably providing water to our customers is our infrastructure. Many of those assets are reaching the end of their useful life, and we need to plan for cost-effective investments to maintain reliable service into the future. Up here on the screen, you're seeing a symptom of our aging infrastructure. This is a main break, one that you've heard about recently. This is the main break on Sir Francis Drake just 2 weeks ago. This is the 100-year-old sugar line, the 1920 cast iron pipeline on Sir Francis Drake. It was originally installed to convey water from Ross Reservoir, Phoenix Lake, over to Point San Quentin under contract with C&H Sugar. The call to dispatch happened, I think actually just before a board meeting at 6 p.m. And fortunately our crews were just nearby and were able to respond by 6:02. The repair took just about 23 hours. We had 2 crews working through the night, and a new crew came in the morning. There was quite a disruption with this main break. Had to reroute traffic, put the eastbound traffic into the westbound. And probably the biggest component is that the initial estimate for this main break is coming in around $130,000 to $150,000. We see this event as illustrative of the work we need to continue to do to address our aging infrastructure. The capital investments that the district took on in the first 100 years were focused primarily on building and expanding our facilities to meet both growth, regulatory requirements, seismic resiliency. Down below, you'll see pictures of Alpine Dam that was constructed in 1918 and then raised in 1924 and then also 1942 to meet growing demand. On the left-hand side is Sausalito Boulevard tank. This is a riveted steel tank that was built in 1909. And interestingly enough, it is still in our system. For the next 100 years, we need to plan for optimal investments, strategically replacing and renewing our assets. And to do that, we need to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of our water system, given the age, the complexity, and the condition. There are many competing priorities given the tanks, the pumps, the pipelines, and we see this master plan as a way of creating a roadmap to creating strategic capital investments in the district's infrastructure. The purpose of the master plan is to develop a roadmap, investing in the water system of not only what needs replacing and rehabbing, but also at the right time, so ensuring a cost-efficient use of our limited resources. Critical assets that have already been identified as reaching the end of their useful life include Pine Mountain Tunnel and Ross Reservoir. And this project will provide a focused evaluation to resolving the known storage issues in Ross Valley. A little hot. The roadmap for optimal investments will include development of sustainable rehab and replacement rates for our various assets, including our storage tanks. We will consider industry standards, useful life, condition information, and this project will also include an update to our levels of service and planning and design criteria. For our tanks, we'll be evaluating how often we recoat and replace those tanks. Up on the left-hand corner, you see Hawthorne Hills. That's a riveted steel tank that's been in the system for 91 years. And then Greenbrae tank on the bottom, that is a welded steel tank that is 65 years old, and during one of the more recent condition assessments was found to be in a pretty deteriorated state. So we'll be taking on a capital project to rehab that tank in the next year. The master plan will help us build a framework for identifying not only a sustainable rate of replacement and rehab, but also prioritizing our high-risk assets and pipelines. We expect that the more we invest in planning and proactive replacements, the less we will spend on reactive repairs, such as this main break. By planning, prioritizing, and evaluating our system comprehensively, we ensure a more cost-effective use of our resources. And we'll go about by proactively replacing our assets by decreasing the risk to the district. Effective planning will result in replacing the right asset at the right time in the right way. This is actually the project on Sir Francis Drake that's ongoing during the night work. I think this is the Bon Air, the little bridge that goes over Sir Francis Drake. So you can see that this is the pipeline that was already planned to go into that main. Another component of this project is the focused evaluation of Pine Mountain Tunnel and Ross Reservoir. Both of these facilities are just about 100 years old and are known to be in poor condition. Both are providing inadequate storage. Between the two and the other facilities within the Ross Valley, they're unable to meet our average summer day. Ross Reservoir turns over 7 to 8 times on a hot day. And this is not meeting our necessary level of storage, our level of service for operational needs and for emergencies. If our treatment plants were to go down, we would need more storage to continue to provide water to our customers downstream. The reason that we are going about this project in this way is that we want to address the Ross Valley issues in the context of the entire system. As you can see, Ross Valley is pretty core to our system. It consists of 23% of the district's service and demand. This is geographically a very large part of our system. We will be evaluating site alternatives for storage, and we won't be discarding any of the work, but rather building off of what has been done in years past. In summary, this project will be developing a roadmap for investing in our water system, ensuring a cost-effective use of limited resources, and providing a solution for Ross Valley system. Through our rigorous RFP process, we are very pleased to be recommending the team from Woodard and Curran. They have demonstrated an extremely experienced team that has worked with Bay Area water utilities preparing master plans. They also have shown a very strong understanding of the district's capital needs and priorities. And they also have provided an unmatched technical expertise in their project manager and team. As I mentioned before, Xavier Arias is in the audience at this point. He most recently worked at East Bay Mud for over 30 years as their director of engineering. And we also have Allison Watson in the audience, and she is the principal in charge and worked with the district most recently on the Water Resources Plan 2040, providing an incredible amount of public outreach for the district. Our recommended action on this item is to approve Resolution 8588, authorizing the general manager to execute a professional services agreement in the amount of $1,438,528 with Woodard and Curran. And our next steps are to enter into a professional services contract, kick off the project, and we will be back shortly in a month to present and discuss at the board retreat next in end of September. And that is all I have.
All right. Any board questions or comments?
I do, Jack. It's the Ross Valley situation is one I've been discussing with staff for quite a long time, and I've discussed it with Ben too. So I'm glad it's going to get the attention and priority that is indicated in the presentation. And would like to be kept abreast of it. I have collected quite a bit of data, which over the years. It's a very challenging situation between the tunnel and the Ross Reservoir. We've got a couple big holes to fill, so to speak. So
yeah.
That sounds great, and I appreciate the acknowledgement, and I'm really pleased this project's moving forward. During the board retreat on this agenda item, as Lucy mentioned, we'll be breaking down in some detail the schedule we'll be proceeding and the check-in points with the board as well as with the public, and get feedback from all of you in that regards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very challenging. I mean, under ABAG rules, Marin County is supposed to be producing an extraordinary amount of additional housing, which I really don't know whether that's a reasonable expectation or not. But this is I think a very critical project, and I think it's a smart investment given the enormity of the capital required really to go forward on this. So better to measure twice before we cut any plans. So
I have a comment, Jack.
Okay, Larry.
One thing, Ben, I would ask and strongly encourage Allison and Xavier to do is the last product produced by RMC about our water supply alternatives had a lot of good ideas, but they weren't run down. Like, I forget now, doing pump and treat and convincing somebody like Petaluma to accept us doing pump and treat, and then the extraction of the water from their aquifers and things like that. It's really important that we don't have loose end ideas, that if there's an idea that's radical, especially that's never been done or never been proven for us, it needs to be run down and not just thrown out as verbiage in a report. I was disappointed about that part of the report. I think overall the report was great, but I didn't like that piece where these ideas are just tossed out without seeing if they're politically feasible by doing some kind of investigation at the local level of who's going to receive the present.
Okay, any other comments, board comments?
just Jack, one more.
Yeah.
Somewhere in my files, there's a grand jury report which discussed this, and it may have been one of Hal Brown initiated reports about fire safety. But the Ross Valley situation is more about having adequate water storage to serve that central component of the system, as far as I understand it. Plus, what we are using the tank out by Kent for storage, which clearly we need to address that in a reasonable time frame. So the Pine Mountain Tunnel, that is. So
yeah.
Keep in mind, Larry, that putting that generator at San Geronimo made a tremendous difference in the need for storage downstream, because having the ability to pump under any condition except severance of the pipeline by an earthquake gives you a lot of power that never existed before. There was no way to move water if a power outage occurred on the other side of the crest.
Yeah,
So
I
think
agree. I agree.
things
And
have
go ahead,
things
Jeff.
have changed greatly for the benefit of Ross Valley. They're
Yeah,
gonna,
and
you
no,
should rest much more comfortable.
I agree. And then the other thing, just, my nerdy comment is the valve connecting the two systems, the two treatment plants, is also sort of an interesting workaround around the storage issue. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but given all that, we do have two really ancient facilities that we're going to need to deal with. So
Mhm.
You mean other than the board members?
they're even older than the board members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah, no, I include myself.
Okay. Any other board comments? Any comments from the public on this item?
President Gibson, we do have one comment from Mr. Roger Roberts.
Yes. And that will be posted?
No, he's actually here on,
Oh.
yes.
He's an attendee.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Well, I'll just read the comment that I sent in this afternoon. I wish to ask whether or not the Water System Asset Management Plan contract with Woodward and Curran specifically includes careful analysis of MMWD's aging infrastructure, recommended and necessary watershed improvements as part of the capital management plans, projection of the expected costs involved of replacement of capital infrastructure, its prioritization, and a proposed financial plan to address the water system management plan's requirements. I have looked at the proposed contract and maybe I have missed something, but I do not recall seeing language covering these specific topics per se.
Hi, Roger. Yes, we will be looking into sorry, I don't have it in front of me. The topics that you're talking about.
I noted them.
What was that?
I could just jump in. I think if the board would like staff to respond, I can go ahead with that.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Roberts, we will be doing careful analysis for sure in terms of the system, the updating our hydraulic model that reflects current demands, and looking at all of the infrastructure. We will incorporate it in this will be projections of costs and looking at different approaches for prioritization. And we do have a kind of corollary effort that will be moving forward, which is a 10-year financial plan that's getting underway that will help dovetail with this effort and map out a long-term look at financing options and alternatives and projections and getting input from the board and the public on that. The one item that is not captured in this is the watershed infrastructure per se. This is complementing the water treatment master plan that had been done a few years ago. And this is looking at, for the most part, core infrastructure throughout the system of tanks, pump stations, distribution system, transmission lines. The watershed, we do have some thoughts and approaches of looking at that going forward in another effort we're going to be bringing to the board September 25th at the retreat and talking about that as well.
I think the other thing, Ben, that should be looked at, maybe not in this report, but it's pretty close back end to this report, is the impact of direct potable reuse, especially on major users like San Quentin, and how that fits into our overall water planning. As I recall, San Quentin uses 3% of our total water. And, it's right next door to CMSA. So I think we should be thinking about that in terms of the long-term water system master plan of where we're going.
That's a good point.
Okay. Any other public comment on this?
There are none.
Okay, I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Could I have one more question, and just in reading the document on the deliverables, they keep referring to a TM, a draft TM that documents criteria.
Technical memorandum.
Okay, thank you.
It's a baby report, huh?
Okay.
All right, now I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Thanks, Jack.
Who would like to make the motion?
Oh, yeah, I guess we do need a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Thank you. Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Kohler,
Aye.
Director Quintero,
Aye.
Director Russell,
Aye.
and President Gibson.
aye,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Lucy. And I think we're ready for future agenda items.
Okay. So.
I note there's a meeting missing, Jack, in the list, which is the closed session on the 21st after the doc meeting in the afternoon.
That's correct.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct. So that one is, yes, at 1 o'clock. Oh, and
Right.
then, let's see, tomorrow, I just want to make sure if I got tomorrow's in there.
You did. Tomorrow's
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
Okay, good. All right, and then also, I do want to bring to the board's attention the fact that the annual retreat definitely for the 25th, but I haven't yet received any confirmations regarding the time. I know that our staff is working really hard on it, and we want to make sure that everyone will be there. So the time it's still tentative. It's from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Friday the 25th. If you can provide me that yes, you can, that yes, you're available during that time slot, I would appreciate it. And so would our staff. And that's what I have. If you know now, you're more than welcome to tell me. But if you want to continue to schedule or look at your schedule, go ahead and do so.
I'm sorry, I thought we were set with that time. So it works for me. I have on my calendar 9. But if we need to start as late as 9:30, I guess we can. It's the earlier the better for me, but it's not that big a deal.
okay,
Would
I'm in, count me in.
9 o'clock work for everyone?
This
Sure.
excuse me, is this September 25th?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just going to double check.
Also, Sharice, you are correct. The closed session is not at 9:30 as shown on the schedule. It's at 2, as I recall, on Wednesday.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about now? I thought we were talking about the retreat.
Yeah,
No, we're talking about the agenda of all the meetings, and the Wednesday, August 19th, the closed session that's shown there is not at 9:30, right? It's at 2.
It says 9 a.m.
Yeah, I know, but it's at 2. It was originally supposed to be, those interviews were supposed to be conducted at that time, but as I remember, the schedule is at 2, not at 9:30.
That is correct, Director Russell. And on Friday, the second batch is at 1 p.m. We'll send out a reminder and we'll update our calendar.
Going back to the retreat, so are we all good for 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. then?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay.
I checked. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay, and then yes, I will definitely update the staff report, the future agenda schedule so that it's more in tune with what's
So,
happening.
on the retreat, it was 9:30 to 1. Is it now 9 to 12:30?
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to try to keep it to target 3 hours with maybe a little bleed over. So I won't be going till 1 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
right.
Okay, with that, I think we are adjourned to closed session.
And are we going to close this meeting, Jack, or do we keep going?
The board will stay on.
Okay, thank you.
And Bob is staying on, right?
Yes.
Bye, everybody else.
Bye.